4 reasons why I have no interest in going back to Africa. Wait a minute, that's not me. I live in Africa. It's not my video. It's this guy's video, Skylar Duran. He's an African-American brother from Dallas that lives in Brazil. And he made a pretty controversial video the other day, giving his 4 reasons why he has no interest in moving back to Africa. I think we should check it out.
I have been to Africa before. I do not have any interest in going back. It's not a high priority for me and a lot of brothers. Okay, and look, we're gonna go through the 4 reasons here, and we're gonna just start off with the most controversial one. All right, we gotta get the fire started early. We gotta get cooking early. So number 1, the number 1 reason, one of the reasons is the variety of women. All right, so listen to me, guys. I know that Africa has some attractive women, and I'm going to show you one here. Okay, so we're looking at a baddie over here. Okay, in my opinion, this is a certified dime piece. Okay, she lives in South Africa. Okay, her body is ridiculous. Okay, this is what we call an automatic skeet session. This is without any question. This is a automatic tossing salad. Like, we're gonna get all into it. Okay. Now, if she come up to me and she's like, "Hey, Skylar, what is your pull out game like?" I'm gonna be like, "It's non-existent." Okay. We're just gonna have some children in South Africa. That's how it's going down. But this is a certified baddie. Okay. Now, here's the issue though. All of the YouTubers who go to Africa, I am not seeing anyone pull anyone near this level.
Okay.
None of them. Okay. And it could be for quite a few reasons. It could be that the women of her caliber, there's a low supply. There's not a lot of them. Okay. If you juxtapose that to Brazil, for an example, or Colombia, for an example, bad bees are coming out of the woodwork, literally.
So let me kind of discuss that. He showed a good-looking lady in South Africa that's a certified bad. Again, every guy has, different tastes. I don't know what his color complexion preference is, but if you like darker skinned women, I mean, this is Africa, so it's a lot of different countries with a lot of different diversity. Africa is the most genetically diverse place on planet Earth. But if your type is more or less what you might see in Colombia, Brazil, as far as, I don't know if it's lighter women, but I mean, I've been to Brazil once, so they do have a lot of opportunities, but I don't know what countries that he's been to though. I think he's only been to Mogadishu. So I don't know if he's been throughout the continent for real like that. I mean, you can ask Austin Holloman, he's in Kenya, and Kenya has a lot of different chicks that that look very similar to what he's talking about. So I just think that when he says accessible, that is a good point, because again, it depends on where you live. If you live in Uganda and you're looking to get, accessible baddies, from what I've been told, I've been to Rwanda once. I had a brother that come here to visit me from Rwanda. He says in Kigali is way more accessible than in Kampala, right? So the girls in Kampala who look like this lady are a little bit more stuck up, but in Rwanda it's different. So it depends on where you do live, right? So it depends on where you live. But I see where this point is, especially if you're looking for a certain type, but body type, somebody like her, that's all day. That's all day. I have to talk to him more to see what he's talking about certified body, but this is all day on the continent, all day long.
Of beautiful women. And I fear, and this is what everybody's telling me, is that when you compare places like Africa, generally speaking, you're not going to see baddies like this, 10s, 20s, dozens out of the woodwork, automatically breaking your neck every time you leave the house. It's just not happening. I will tell you, as a male, as a heterosexual male, I am inspired every day by beautiful women. Beautiful women is part of the reason why I came to Brazil, because it's something about the dopamine rush in your brain when you see beautiful women everywhere, when you see them working out, when you see them on the beach, when you see them shopping, when you go into your apartment and you go in the elevator and it's full of baddies that you've never seen before. They're just out of the woodwork. That does something to your psyche.
So also, let me just say, Brazil, on average, they tend to be a little bit more richer than most African countries. So, like I said, aesthetically, women are going to be a little bit more better kept there. I would say more makeup, more things like that. I see his point, but like I said, it depends on the person and what you're looking for. But if it's body wise, if it's face wise, I mean, you have many different countries that, like Ethiopia. I mean, I wouldn't go to probably Eritrea right now, but you have a lot of different countries you can go to depending on what you like. Okay. I can't really get into the personal details so my mama watched this channel, but let's go to the next one.
Channels don't. They just circle jerking over there talking about how great Africa is without talking about the scams in Africa.
So second thing he's gonna talk about is the scams. That's the second reason why he's not coming to Africa.
Africa, generally speaking, because we're talking about all the countries, runs rampant with scams. Now, let's be fair and balanced. A lot of countries have scams. A lot of countries are on some nefarious stuff. But it's on another level in Africa, and they are scamming people, and people are finally want to talk about it. So let's go into it. So let's talk about one of the most common scams in Africa. Overpricing you for goods and services, charging you more than what they would charge the local population. Just because you're an American, just because you're not from that country, they're going to charge you more, even if you're black.
Yes.
Right? Hey, a lot of people go to the motherland. Oh, I'm going to the motherland. They feel they're going to get there and have a connection, and then they get scammed and get charged more for stuff. And it's just not, it's food, it's tours, safari tours, and what else do we have here? They do the fake charity scams, trying to use children as bartering trips and saying, hey, you're going to help these kids, blah, 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 blah. Currency exchange.
Okay, scams. Let's talk about that. That's a very big thing. It is a very big issue. I talked about that. I've had guests talk about it here on the channel. It's something that does happen here, and it's just something that you're going to experience wherever you go in the world. But yeah, it is more that is more expressed, I would say, here. To respond to the scams thing, there are certain things that you can try to do to limit those experiences. For an example, here's an app called SafeBoda, okay? It's how I get around. Most Ugandans get around like this on the motorcycle. Instead of me going and trying to negotiate rates on the street with like a motorcycle rider there, I'll use SafeBoda to get around, right? Here's Uber, okay? Uber, we already know. Now, there are some scams with Ubers too, though. That could be a scam also, because people try to like get you to cancel the trip and charge you more money. That's happening also in Kenya too. But yes, usually Uber. For shopping, for food, right? Global app. These are international apps that you can understand, things like that. Now, if you want to get housing, there are communities where you can come in and ask people, where do they get their houses from? We have an African diaspora group here in Kampala that can answer some of those questions. So it is a little bit of research, but yes, you can get scammed. Yes, you will get scammed. But there's you can mitigate that. I was in Ukraine before and got overcharged. So the overcharging problem is just something that you must mitigate and do some research. But he is right. There is a lot of overpromising and under-delivering living on the continent of Africa, especially in this country, in Uganda. It happens a lot. People will say anything. It's not a matter of if you get scammed. It's a matter of will you get scammed or how soon and for how much, right? But so you just want to try to minimize those things. You know, you're never spending a whole lot of money with people and things like that. It is just doing your research. But yes, unfortunately, scams happen. A lot of the stuff that you deal with here, it's not really based on like a set price. You know what I mean? Prices fluctuate and change in this market. So it's not like America.
which is tribalism. 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 O'Shea Duke Jackson and the people who go on his channel, they talk a lot about tribalism.
Shout out to me. I do.
They talk a lot about how you have well-to-do black people who come to Africa with good intentions. And this, I'm not saying all of Africa, and
right.
I'm not saying it happens to everyone, but it's very common, okay?
Yes.
They get treated like outcasts, even though they have the same lineage, the same genetic makeup. But because you are British black or American black and you want to go to Africa to conduct business, they're going to treat you like an outsider. Nobody talks about that. A lot of these guys on YouTube talk about how rampant racism is in South America, but they gloss over the tribalism that is in Africa and how rampant it is. Even with other, you have YouTube channels with other Africans complaining about the tribalism and how they unfairly they get treated in different countries. So you have racism / colorism in South America, and you have tribalism issues in Africa. So my question is, pick your poison, because
I'll probably go with the tribalism thing versus the racism thing. He's right though, but with the tribalism, here's what I would kind of push back. I've been in agreement with him on the majority so far, and he is right. The tribalism doesn't have a limit on where I can go though, right? Like me being in Uganda and being black, I don't have a ceiling, I don't think. The things I've been able to do here in the country, even if I was Portuguese speaking, I don't know if I'd be able to do that in Brazil. But I believe that because I am black and I am from America, that might have opened some doors for me to be able to do the things that I'm doing. And then in cases that it's hurt me, but racism is just, you're going to be limited to do certain things. But the tribalism, he's right. It does happen. You have African Americans. We've been here on the continent in many different countries trying to get into the system. And then, obviously, if you get too much into the system, you can be taken advantage of. And if you're not in the system at all, you can still be taken advantage of. And it's not fun, but there are not a lot of limitations on you here. You can grow. And that's the one thing. So tribalism, it typically affects, let me say, what's going on in the country. Of course, the problem with us is that we want to look at them as one of us, and people will help you. People have helped you, but that's not how Africans grow up. They don't grow up under the whole Africa is one kind of ideology. That's not what's going on here. Like how we kind of grown up in the West and in Black America, where all the blacks are our brothers and sisters and we should all fight for each other. That's not how the culture is, and so that's a shock. But yes, tribalism is a factor. It's not a bigger factor than living in the country that's racist or has tribalism, like maybe some South American countries. So I would definitely pick the tribalism issue over racism, because I'm not limited here because I'm black, right? I mean, I might be overcharged, there might be some fake stuff going on, but I've been able to grow since I've been here a lot. And that is because there is really no racism against me. Whereas that might not be the case for some people out there in Brazil. Let's check out the number 4.
I am a foodie.
Yes.
Okay, I am a foodie and I like gourmet dishes. Now you got to ask yourself, a question.
Mm-hmm.
Name 3 world-renowned dishes,
mm-hmm.
food dishes that come out of Africa.
Okay.
You don't. You can't come up with one because, and also, it could now. I'm just saying what I'm trying to say is Africa as a continent is not known for its culinary arts.
Okay.
Not saying they don't have, and I'm not saying black people can't cook, because they can. Jamaican food is fire.
He's
okay,
funny.
I remember the first time I had a beef patty. It literally just melted in my mouth. Okay, it melted in my mouth. Spicy too. A little beef patty. Okay, they don't have it. Unfortunately, we don't have Jamaican restaurants here. But Africa is not known for its culinary arts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I never heard anyone tell me ever that they were blown away by the food in Africa.
Okay.
Not to say that they can't cook, it's just that it's just generally okay. And that's okay. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you too. I'm gonna be fair and balanced. And I could be wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but I'm not. It's the same thing with Brazil.
So basically his point is Africa doesn't have a lot of the top tier restaurants that you might see in the States and things like that. And he did live in London, shout out to him. So in Uganda, that is definitely true. You're not gonna have a whole lot of gourmet restaurants. You're gonna be in places like Cape Town, Johannesburg. This is where you're gonna be at. But if it's gourmet, he's typically correct. Although, like I said, there is good food here. I like my local food here in Uganda. You know what I'm saying? My luwombo. I'm getting the matoke with the G-nuts. Hey, I'm happy, right? So I like the food. I think the food is a little bit different. And in many cases, it's similar to soul food dishes. So if you like African-American soul food, a lot of similarities between Ugandan food. I really want to say so much to Kenyan food because Kenyan food is a little bit different, but Ugandan food has some real close similarities to African-American soul food, especially with like matoke, and some of the other things. West Africa, Nigeria. I mean, I've been to Nigeria. That was some really good food too. So it just depends on you as an individual, but everybody has their reasons. I mean, he put his out there. I think the biggest selling point was he didn't feel like the ladies had what it took to be out and swinging the bat. I only think he's been to Mogadishu. I'm pretty sure if he were to go to South Africa, a good young man like himself, he have a good time. If he go to Rwanda, he comes to Nairobi. He'll be all right. But I just think that he just needs to probably come to a few more places to see what's going on. But Brazil is the truth. I'm gonna be real. It's the truth. Colombia, Latin America, especially with its variety, it's the truth. And it can really spoil a man. You have to really be into black women if you're a brother coming to Africa. If you have other interests, if you like the Latina ladies, you like the Dominican Republic, of course, you're not gonna get that kind of ladies here. But if you really like sisters, you into the brown and the dark chocolate, and you like the big butts and all that kind of stuff, and the cute faces and slim and whatever you want to look thick, it's here. I mean, that's for sure. You're gonna see all different types. Ethiopia, you're gonna see all different types. So it just depends on where you want to go. Even in Kampala, you see all these different types of ladies on the street. You see Ethiopians here, you see Eritreans here. I mean, super bad, super fine. You see mixed people, you see Congolese girls, you see white and Congolese, you see Indian in Ugandan. You see a whole lot of different admixtures that a lot of folks don't talk about. I was recently in Arua, and one of the most beautiful ladies I've seen in a long time. And I'm not even into the whole mixture kind of thing, right? But she was bad. She had to be like Arabic and black. And I was like, oh! I was over at the hotel, and I was like, damn, who is this? And I never seen somebody look like her in Uganda, period, since I've been living here. So it'll shock you. But anyway, shout out to Skylar Duran. Check out his channel. He's an honest guy. He puts it out there how he feels. So check him out, man. Let him know that O'Shea sent you. Peace.